Hello and welcome back to Ravenstorm Studios, and today I will be reading part 8 of Feathers, an Elsewhere University Tale. Just before we pop into the video, I'd like to quickly say that there is a disclaimer. Mild to moderate language will most likely be used in this video. So if you are a child, please check with a parent or guardian before listening. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Part 8. It's not Jenna who notices, who flinches away from you as she passes, still caught between 13 and cat eyes, drops her gaze on your clenched fists as she steps past and behind you. Which is good, which is right. She is yours, and that means she is yours to protect. Just enough of you is Fey touch to be oh so terribly territorial, so possessive, but still enough is human that it comes out as fiercely protective. Protective is okay, you tell yourself. Protective means you care, means you don't want to harm. You can still touch iron and still tell lies. You step forward until you are just before the entrance of the path to the crossroads. Go to kneel in the center. The others are nearly to the other path, the way out, the trail to the border. Cat Eyes and 13 are calling you, unwilling to go on without you, but afraid to remain. Still breathing heavy, Not Jenna stands silent, a hand pressed to her ribs, panting the same as the others. You ignore them. You kneel. You scatter fistfuls of iron nails before you, line them up end to end so that they form a line. And if you have more nails than you thought you did, well, you never bothered to count, did you? No, you didn't. Pay it no mind. From end to end, and Cat Eyes and 13's voices reach a fever pitch, a roaring crescendo of terror and war drums. You look up and up and up, and smile at the lady bearing down on you, elegant killing blade shining naked in her hand, bloodlust in her eyes, awful maw agape as she shrieks death down upon you, her mount a pitch-black thing with gnashing razor teeth and smoked eyes of fire, and each pounding hoof the size of your head, and it screams, it rears and screams and paws at the air, and dances back and forth, side to side, sides heaving, nostrils flaring, fiery eyes rolling, and it will not, it cannot pass your line in the sand. The other hunters seep out of the darkness behind the lady, horses puffing and snorting and pawing, but drawn none the less to rein, no more able to pass than the lady. A thought drifts through your mind, and you snort, have to laugh, stand, gesture grandly with an arm outstretched, hold the image of a very specific wizard in your mind and declare, "You shall not pass." And that's it. That does it. You feel something snap into place as 13, Cat Eyes, even Not Jenna, are shocked into short barks of laughter in recognition to the reference, and the knowledge of the line and the force of the story behind it, brought to Else by you just now, yes, but by many, many others, over many, many years, adds weight and force and reality to your line of iron and your declaration both. The lady looks as rage incarnate, and you can't help it, you really truly can't. You toss off a jaunty two-fingered salute, and smirk as you get to your feet, turn around, walk away. But you maybe should have remembered that Gandalf didn't stop fighting the Balrog without falling himself, because Not Jenna's eyes go wide, she shrieks your name, and you turn back towards the host of the summer fae, just in time to see the lady's rapier leave her hand, to see it arc through the air, to feel it light a blaze of sensation through your shoulder. You have just enough time to hear Appaloosa gasp, her breathy moan of fear, to hear her draw her blade, and then, oh, oh, you think, and then it's just, oh, oh, it hurts, oh, fuck, it hurts, it burns, oh god, it hurts, and oh, that metal that didn't go all the way through gleams so sweetly with some slick substance. Everyone is screaming. Appaloosa bleeding on the ground with her sword in her stomach, hands fluttering uselessly, futile about her gut wound. The Lady Victory turning to ash in her mouth, arm flung out, sword hand empty as she beholds the state of her stable master, the hunters behind her crying foul, Barnes swooping in frantic drunken circles above you all, cawing, 13 and Cat Eyes and not Jenna screaming variations on your name, and you scream, no words, just sound. Just noise, just raw animal terror, because there is no part of you capable of comprehending this pain. It hurts, oh God, it hurts, much less containing it, and then you fall, and you fall, and you fall. Dimly, distantly, you are aware of grasping hands wrapping roughly about your arms, nails digging in, pulling at your clothes for something to grab hold of. You are being moved, you think, dragged, each shuffle stepped forward jolt of motion jostles the blade within your flesh. It hurts, oh God, it hurts, and you scream, you moan, you fall deeper, deeper, deeper. You are still being moved. It is agony. You are agony. Nothing that you are is not also pain. Something is different in the air, perhaps. This means nothing. Air exists so that you may drag it into your chest, so that you may release it with the sounds of your pain. You still moan, you gasp, you arch and thrash to and fro. Still you suffer. Air breezes in. Proof of pain blusters out. The change means nothing. There is pressure on your stomach, your forehead, and then your chest and your neck. You pull yourself deeper within yourself in an attempt to escape the onslaught. You curl up with both your physical and your mental presence. The blade is gone. You didn't notice that happening. You wonder if you screamed louder. You really, really did. You feel a bit like you did in the abyss of the in-between, so very far away from yourself. It was a horror then, not so much now. Sluggish, you become aware of a hand jostling your thigh and calling one of your names. Feathers, not Jenna, and then the others still calls you some variation of Crow Girl. You don't want to wake up. Not that you're truly asleep, but certainly you're closer to some sort of trance than true wakefulness. Better this way, the pain doesn't reach this far down. They move you again, the movement pulls you up, closer to the pain. One of them, you think it's Cat Eyes maybe, is brushing your hair out of your face. Shushing you. She's a little frantic about it, and not being here matches nicely with your own desires, so you try to force yourself to ignore the way you're being jostled. It's not easy. Every time your body takes a breath, it moves your shoulder, and there's another pattern of spiking pain that you think matches footsteps. 13 is carrying you maybe, and once you figure out the pattern to the spikes, you start waiting for them, anticipating, and that makes it harder to pull yourself away from the pain, from consciousness. The anticipation builds and crests with each breath, each step. You can't ignore it, can't master this, you can't even think past this, and your breathing comes faster and faster and faster. You pass out, which is, you would think, if you're conscious enough to consider it, at least sort of like success. Cat Eyes has never felt worse in her life. She's slick with layers of sweat, fear sweat even, which fucking reeks. Pretty much every muscle, even vaguely connected to her legs, shakes with fatigue, closer to point of failure than she's ever been. Her entire rib cage, not just a side, is stitched up in pain. It doesn't matter. Can't let it matter, not Jenna says they have to keep going. At least she's not carrying Crowgirl. Cat Eyes, and it is really not a good thing that she even thinks of herself as Cat Eyes nowadays. But fuck man, she's got a customer base. She can't go around rebranding herself willy-nilly. Shit. She has no idea how 13 really, is still managing to truck along with Crowgirl in her fireman's carry over his shoulders. They spent actual hours running for their lives, and now Not Jenna is setting a brutal pace getting them away from the Summerlands. Summerland, huh? She's always hated Santa Barbara. So fucking pretentious. Cat Eyes tries to think about how they're following the Changeling, least of all evils, but still Changeling Underhill, continuing to make with the following. Madness. Does Crowgirl even know what Not Jenna is? Obviously, she knows she's a changeling, and Cat Eyes knows she has a pair of her glasses. But has she ever used them to look? From the easy way they interact, Cat Eyes is pretty damn sure she hasn't. She'll say it again. Madness. Cat Eyes stumbles, distracted from the path the changeling is making by her thoughts, and in front of her 13 slows and braces, lets her catch herself against his back, which, hot damn, muscles. Cat Eyes shakes herself, not the time, and then grows concerned when 13 doesn't start again. You need to rest? She asks, and then when he just hesitates, because he's a jock and therefore affected with toxic masculinity and can't ask for help to save his life unless it is indeed an actual life-threatening situation. She goes on, "'Cause I know I do, and I'm not carrying Crowgirl." There, pride salved. He nods, and wow, he is not looking good. "Hey, Not Jenna, we need to stop again." The changeling, a yard or so ahead of the three humans, stops, turns back and grimaces, her hand white-knuckled around the hilt of the sword she pulled out of Crowgirl. "We already stopped once," she says, and for all that they're out of the Summerlands, she still stands hunched, shoulders up around her ears, black backlit eyes flickering around, sword tip waving like grass as she turns her gaze around and around and around. God, her eyes are so freaky. 13 doesn't say anything, just sways a little, hitches Crowgirl a bit higher on his shoulders. She gasps a high, thready sound, and her eyes flash open just wide enough to show the way they roll, insensate, before she goes limp again, head lolling. Better that she's passed out, Cat Eyes thinks. The screaming was. Not Jenna wilts when she hears Crowgirl, and finally seems to see just what kind of shape the other two humans are in. Still, she wavers between insisting on continuing the forced march and breaking to a rest, and Cat Eyes wishes she had spent more time actually interacting with the other involved students before this. She doesn't know the right words to make the changeling listen. 13 sways again, and Cat Eyes leans more pressure on the hand on his back, slants her shoulder to catch Crowgirl if he goes down, which is a distinct possibility. He's grey and clammy and pushing himself far beyond too far. Not Jenna watches, considering. How far can she push? What can she take before she gets pushed back? Fucking changeling. And finally nods. Just a little farther, I can make a place up ahead. 13 sags, just a little, and Cat Eyes can't tell if it's in relief or dismay. "Here, let me take her," she says, but he shakes his head, almost more of a tremble than any purposeful movement. No, she'll wake up, and then start screaming. Yeah, Cat Eyes thinks. Fair point. She nods, stays close as they move on. Just in case, at least they go more slowly this time. It really isn't much farther, maybe another 10 minutes before the changeling sighs and mutters, "Here's as good a place as we're going to find. Here doesn't look a single bit different than the wilds they've all been trekking through for the last eternity." But Cat Eyes is beyond caring. As soon as the changeling stops talking, 13 is easing Krogel down, slowly, steadily, and Cat Eyes hovers until he gets her all the way down, and then gets himself sat down after. Miraculously, Krogel doesn't stir. Maybe not so miraculous. That can't actually be good. Unless maybe she's shifted from unconsciousness to sleep. That's the thing that happens outside of medical dramas and TV, right? Shit, she can hardly walk a straight line right now, much less try to straighten out valid medical advice from the dross of Hollywood magic. Not Jenna hands her bag over, and Cat Eyes digs through it for a bottle of water. She takes the slug, passes it to 13, and then watches as he tries to get Krogel to swallow some. She whines, high and distressed, but he does get some of the water down her throat, so Cat Eyes is calling it a win. She turns her attention back towards the devil they know. The changeling is pacing out a circle around them. The brush and rock formations the Cat Eyes hadn't really paid attention to, other than to climb over, are somehow receding away from them as she goes, leaving an empty ring of dirt centered on Krogel and 13. Cat Eyes stands still for a moment, swaying a bit on her aching feet, watching, worrying, and then realizing quite suddenly that she doesn't need to be standing right now. She jerks one arm through the strap of her backpack, drops it off the other shoulder like it's hot, and then unencumbered reaches up under her shirt to unclasp her bra. "Fuck," comes out her mouth as soon as the band relaxes around her rib cage, and she drops down onto the dirt next to her bag, first just on her rump, and then, when nothing immediately awful happens, the rest of the way down, arms starfished out. Cat Eyes categorically refuses to move until her muscles stop doing the pain thing. Yeah, that's the way to phrase it. The dirt is going to form a coat of sweat mud on her skin, and she can't even bring herself to care. Stupid patch of dirt is home until she regains enough energy to be grossed out. She's about to actually say that to not Jenna, but when she glances over, the changeling is already peering intently at her, creepily, with her creepy lit up eyes. Discretion being the better part of valor, Cat Eyes just says, "I'ma take a cat nap. Wake me up if we're about to die." She prods 13 until he sticks out his leg for her to repurpose as a pillow, and then she suits actions to words. The changeling's grumblings are low, rumbling, reminiscent of the noise the horror movie monsters always make, barely inside of human hearing, and just enough like a cat's purring that she drifts right off. Not Jenna watches the humans sleep and contemplates. She hadn't wanted to stop. They still aren't far enough to be, for a given value of the word, safe, and Not Jenna has no friends here. Even this camp, as much as a puppy pile of humans can be called a camp, is ever so precarious, more easily carved out of the unclaimed land than she had expected, though. Much, much more easily. It makes her nervous. It makes her think of the way the cat had thrown herself down so very determinedly, and about how the circle seemed to flow so much more willingly after. Makes her think of the chant that the students sing-song at each other. Iron in our blood, metal in our veins. It's something to think on, perhaps. Not Jenna looks up at the unsky and misses the stars. There are lights, bright and distant, far and above, but they aren't stars, and they certainly aren't in the pattern she has grown used to. They drift oh so distantly as an hour passes by, unnoticed or remarked upon. She wonders if stars will appear if the humans spend long enough here, wonders if her own expectations will help, or if she is too changeable. She has always accepted the latter as truth, but now she understands humans a little too well is the thing. Not very well, but certainly better than most of her ilk. She has to wonder now if that understanding comes not from accompanying Feathers to her classes, but from Feathers' expectation that she should understand. It is not a comfortable thought. She wants to go back to being negative space, being only known by her absences, recognized only by viewing what is missing. She doesn't like being seen, affected like this, but she and Feathers have bound themselves up with each other, and while it was without a doubt done with more knowing on her end of things than the humans, it remains true, and now she follows Feathers, who grows more fey with each passing day, and knows it, and is already too far gone along to properly care. If she ever properly cared at all, this is not how Not Jenna had planned to keep her lovely human girl, but she is, after all, a changeling. Nothing if not adaptable, she is. She follows Feathers, and though she hasn't bent the knee, Not Jenna knows in her heart of hearts that she will, the moment the girl is fey enough to accept it. She ponders that thought at the way it catches the breath in her throat, makes her heart pound. There's something there, something else that she should be seeing. She drops her gaze from the unsky to gaze at the humans. Ah, but there is something there other than humans. Ah, she thinks again and drags her gaze slowly towards the crow, perched on top of the male's backpack. It is the prince's crow, the prince who introduced himself as Crow Prince, and after, only after, had he said, of the autumn court. Oh, Not Jenna thinks. My. This is a thought worth pondering. The crow blinks its beady eye at her as she watches, and when she ducks her head, just a bit, just the barest hint of respect, it shuffles its wings in invitation, and she gladly joins the clump of bodies. Not Jenna sleeps and dreams sweet dreams of Cataclysm. And that is the end of part 8. Thank you very much for listening. I'm sorry this one was a little bit longer than usual, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye!